to the Tailosive Tech Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, joined by our regular crew, Nick and Randy. This time, we're not meeting in person. This is our regular live podcast from Colorado and San Diego and NorCal all at once. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
I'm sad after that intro.
Yeah. It is depressing
You're right, Randy.
to have to...
We should just fly up once a month or once a week.
Yeah,
once a
every
whenever.
Saturday.
Sounds
you
good.
guys just fly up here.
Every Saturday.
I don't know where
Sounds
we'll
good.
do it now.
My bottom line is going to like that.
I don't know where we would do it,
Yeah.
but that's not important. We just need to be in person, even if there's no video.
That is true.
The people liked it. People
I'll
seem to
sit-
like
I
it.
liked it.
I'm sure Randy would sit in your lap, Drew. I mean, he was holding your hand the entire time last time.
That's true.
You know.
It was a little close.
It's just funny. I took advantage of that's called screen editing. Or no.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Hi guys.
Hello.
So do you guys...
So, what happened in the tech world?
Well, the Power Beats dropped, and it was kind of unexpected. There wasn't an event or anything. They just kind of happened. And currently, at the time of recording this, my latest video gotten a lot of what you call fire because I guess you got to defend Beats now, even though
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm used to Beats being kind of the butt end of the joke, you know. But now,
Nope.
now everyone's mad because I brought up that they don't have inductive charging, which I thought was a huge missed opportunity, and also quite confusing, given they put the words "truly wireless" in the actual name of the product. It's not like a headline. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of the website's, advertising features. It's legit Powerbeats Pro Truly Wireless. That's in the name of the product. And there's already different earbuds out there like the Galaxy Buds and the AirPods 2 that have the wireless charging support. So for this to be more expensive, I just thought was stupid. But
Yeah.
a lot of people keep bringing
I
up
don't know.
like, well, you didn't criticize the first-gen AirPods for not having them. And I'm like, for one, first-gen AirPods never said truly wireless in the name. Two, there weren't Qi-supported earbuds back then. That wasn't a thing. So
Yeah.
they also came out 3 years ago. And now that Powerbeats are dropping, and there are inductive charging earbuds already, and they're cheaper, it's like they're falling behind. So to me, it's just...
Yeah.
It sucks, but there's still a market for them. I'm sure some people might want them, or some people could take advantage of what features they have, but I don't know.
Yes, this isn't going to make for an interesting discussion, but I kind of agree with you, Drew. I'm sorry, everyone.
Dang it, why do you gotta agree?
It's like, I know. You're too much of an Apple sheep or something. I don't know.
I'll play devil's
Okay.
advocate.
Thanks, Randy.
Or as best as I can. This is a first gen product, and we don't know how they're gonna do how Beats is gonna fare against.
Yeah, but Randy.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll hear you out.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying. I'm honestly trying to think. I'm trying to play devil's advocate. It's not really helping. The thing is, maybe my thought process, maybe they've been sitting on this just as long as they've been sitting on the release of the second AirPods as well, and it's just a timing thing. So this is something that was already developed in 2018, and we were maybe supposed to see it for the fall.
We'll have to check the packaging.
October, November.
We'll have to see if it says
Yeah, we have to check the
copyright
packaging.
2018 on it.
Yeah, I just I don't know. It's I'm not interested personally in it because I think we talked about this once before. The only thing I'm interested in is, and it's actually on the Apple side, not even the Beats side anymore, is over the ear headphones. That's the only thing. Wireless over the ear headphones. These AirPod competitors, I'm indifferent about just because. I mean, these work just fine. I know that if they're the Power Beats that are supposed to be what it was before for working out and sweat resistant, I've sweated in these all the time, the AirPods, and never had an issue. So it's not something I don't think I need to drop more money on.
Right.
Yeah.
and not have. I mean, the ones I have now aren't wireless charging with the case as well. So I'm indifferent about that. But I'm thinking maybe it's just because it's a first gen product that was made last year, and they need a clear inventory because that's Tim Cook's special.
The chef cook.
Good old inventory management.
Right. No, I hear that, but my whole confusion about it is just like, I already thought AirPods were kind of the upper tier, higher end version of the Buds, the wireless Buds thing. So now that Beats is kind of pushing that even higher, and now you're getting closer and closer to the price of premium over-ears, like the Bose or the Sonys or the ones with legit noise cancellation, not just rubber that covers your ears. So yeah, I don't. I see that getting way too close to competing with the premium over-ears that people would wear on like airplanes and stuff. But I get that they're going for the workout kind of audience of people who don't want them to fall out, or AirPods don't fit their ears maybe. Or I do know the battery life's pretty impressive on the Power Beats. They go 9 hours, which is not bad. And I'm also excited to see that the Beats are now rocking the H1 chip as well, along with the new AirPods. So we can tell that they're designing, custom silicon for specific headphones. So there's definitely an audience for it. I just felt that the little Qi coil could have been such an easy compromise of like, boom, okay, now you don't even need to touch a wire to use these things. Like you can.
Yeah, it's not like they have like metal backs or anything.
No,
it's just plastic. Like,
and the case looks rather bulky.
In there.
It looks quite bigger than AirPods do, actually.
Yeah, and I feel like it would fit really well over a Qi charger, because sometimes with AirPods, I've noticed this, sticking my AirPods too on, the Qi chargers around. Right. It's kind of interesting, like making sure that they're right in the middle of the coil and it all fits just right. And, if it gets knocked off just a little bit, it will stop charging. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, so I'm still plugging them in Lightning.
Oh, wow.
Because
okay.
That's just,
you're not using the Qi yet.
I've done it 3 times now. Once before I went to bed a couple days ago, and I didn't set it down just quite right, and so I woke up and the AirPods case was boiling hot. Ooh. It was probably like, 120 degrees or something. Like, it'd just been soaking up heat all night. And it wasn't alive. Like, I couldn't push the button. There was no light. There was no nothing. The AirPods wouldn't pair. I was like, oh dear, I just break my AirPods, like leaving them on the off center of the coil. But I just plugged them in via Lightning, and then they started charging. Evidently, it was at 0%. So I'm not sure how all that worked.
Wow, okay. Sorry to hear that.
So I'm done with that.
How's your experience been with the second gen AirPods otherwise? Like, have you used the Siri features or have you noticed any of that?
Yeah, I use that all the time. That's probably my favorite part. Just being able to say, hello Siri at any time. It feels just as magical as when Raise to Speak just came out on the Apple Watch, and you could just raise your wrist and start talking. And it just feels magical. And like, I don't know, you leave your phone in your pocket now. You don't even have to raise your wrist. And you just talk to your Siri, and people look at you funny.
What's the next step? Okay. We need to get to thinking of the word Siri.
So does the headphones, when you say the Siri prompt, does the headphones take precedence over
everything else? Yeah, which is kind of annoying sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of annoying because, like, I want to talk to my watch. Mainly, I'll talk to my watch when I want to, like, do a text message, because I like being able to actually read it before I send it. Because I know Siri does read it back to you, but, sometimes she messes stuff up, and it's easier if you just glance at it.
Right.
But sometimes I'll be trying to talk to my watch using the Hello Siri function, and my AirPods will pick it up, and that's annoying. But a good workaround is just using Raise to Speak on your watch. So you don't even need to use the magic words.
Wow. I think if I want Siri on the watch, I'll hold the digital crown. That's like the workaround.
Wow. Two-hander. Look at you.
My watch picks up all the time. I don't mean to, but I'll start saying something, and then as it comes up like this, it just starts talking or, writing what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, no, not that.
But most of the time, if it's not like a Siri command, like, you're not saying, hey, turn on the lights,
Right,
or
right.
whatever, then Siri doesn't ever respond. She'll like listen to you and then figure out that this isn't for her, and she'll just go away and doesn't make any sound, which is nice.
Sometimes the HomePod will say, "Did you summon me accidentally?" I like that one.
No, HomePod, go away. You're drunk.
You're drunk.
Go home, HomePod. You're
Siri
drunk.
has got
Oh, boy.
accessibility down, though. I think Google's got all the
Yes.
knowledge down. Google knows everything, which is handy for a lot of people. But for me, Siri has got ease of access. You can get Siri everywhere and on anything so easily.
You know what you can't get Siri on? OnePlus.
Oh, shoot. I thought you were going to say CarPlay, but I don't think that's true.
No, you can get Siri on
No,
CarPlay.
you get
So
it
I
on
imagine
CarPlay.
people with
I use her all the
Wow,
time.
okay. So people with CarPlay, is it a button on the steering wheel?
So it's well,
Depends
hold
on how
yes.
it's set up.
It is a button. It's a button on the steering wheel. It's also a touch feature. Mine's a touch screen. When I drove an Audi, it wasn't a touch screen. There's a dial that you use, but there is a dedicated button. It's the old school home
Okay.
button that was before
Right.
Touch ID. And that's how you can trigger Siri. But also, Siri is the primary interface on CarPlay when I want to go to text messages or phone. Boop boop. Who would you like
Right.
me to call? Or boop boop. What message would you like me
Right.
to send? Or boop boop. Which contact? It'll do the
Okay.
whole thing, and it works out. And Siri helps now that we have third-party maps. Like I try Waze. I don't try. I use Waze
Ah!
for what?
You can't join the
What was
podcast
that?
now. Waze?
Why not?
Apple Maps is way better.
Wait. Okay. Pause. Two things. One, I still use Apple Maps. That's my dedicated one. But Waze tells me the traffic, live time, and where the popo be at, and that's important to me.
Wait, I've never heard
okay.
of this.
So
What is this app?
Waze?
wait, really? Waze is
We don't
the,
have traffic up
it's
here.
Oh, true.
Oh, man, let me tell you, Waze is a community driven map. It's now owned by Google. It wasn't initially owned by Google, but I think Google bought them out. But it only works because it feeds off of everybody else who has the Waze app, which is a lot
Okay.
of people. I think Waze. I think if you were to put it in like how many people use it, you got Google Maps at the top, Waze, and then I would like to think Apple Maps is right below it. Personally, I use Apple Maps as the primary just because it works with everything within iOS. But Waze tells you lifetime traffic, accidents, police.
I'm looking at it on my
It tells you
iPad.
anything and everything on the road because the community drops. Like you're able to engage with the app. Even in CarPlay, it lets you engage with the app to tell you, oh, an accident has been reported, or you see like, oh, there's a car stuck on the side of the road, or traffic is heavy here on the 5, or there is police off to the corner right here, so that way it kind of alerts people. And because there's nothing, they try to shut that feature down because they don't want people to know where the cops are, but there's nothing illegal about that. Just letting people know like that, so they can't. So everybody, I can tell you, me personally too, that the primary reason why I use Waze first is to know where the cops are at, and when you put in a destination, so when I go from like home to Drew's house, then it will tell me that route. If I decide to take the 5 to the so and so, it will tell me that specific route. As of right now, where are the cops been reported, the traffic, the car incidences, objects on the road, delays.
You're correct. It is number 2 in
tolls,
navigation.
and then
Google Maps is number
Yeah.
1, and then Waze is number 2. It's got
What? Google Maps is number 1? Oh my gosh.
well, because the
No.
Apple
Yeah.
Maps isn't on the App Store, Nick.
It doesn't matter.
It should just be
Okay,
there
so
by
look,
default.
guys. This is my biggest pet peeve on planet Earth.
Uh-oh.
I will straight up yell at my phone like a complete idiot if this happens.
Okay.
You're in a proprietary app, say like Yelp, and you're trying to get directions to an address that's a store or something, and you click the address, but that's not actually an address. It's a link to Google Maps.
Oh.
So it opens up Google Maps, and you're like, well, I didn't want to use Google Maps because I'm an Apple sheep, and Google Maps voice sucks, and I don't support Google Maps, so I want to use Apple Maps. Well, you go down in Google Maps, and like, well, maybe I can copy the address out of Google Maps because I sure don't want to type it. I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
You go down to Google Maps, and you copy the address, and it's still that same link to Google Maps.
Oh.
You can never get a stupid address out of Google Maps, and it's so frustrating because, I don't want to use Google Maps. Or those times where you click the link and you don't have the app, and it opens up Safari, and it's like, hey, here's Google Maps, and you're like, no.
Stop!
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
No, Google Maps, my experience has been like the complete opposite of what everyone tells me online. Because I always heard Apple Maps sucks, Apple Maps is a train wreck, Apple Maps doesn't know what it's doing. And everyone's all about that Google Maps. But for me, I've had multiple people, friends and family who use Google Maps get lost. And I've never had an experience where Apple Maps sent me in the wrong direction or got me lost or I got confused by using Apple Maps. Like anytime... Like, my wife is accustomed to using Google Maps, so that's her go-to. That's her default. So when she opens up Google Maps and plugs in directions, usually we get turned around and it readjusts and it gets broken and it doesn't know where to go. Even though online I hear the complete opposite story. It's so weird. But
the one time once Google Maps became available for CarPlay,
Yeah.
I tried it, and I was told the wrong direction.
Oh,
so to
okay.
say. Like I knew where I was going. I was testing it, and it made me get on the wrong on-ramp to a different freeway, and it actually, because of it, made me late to like it was a Christmas party event or something.
Oh dear,
so something important.
Years ago. And yeah, it was something important. Yeah. Brittany and I were in a hurry. Well, not in a hurry, but we left and we're like, oh, we got to get there soon because downtown parking is crazy. And it said, oh, take this. And it was telling me something. I was like, that doesn't look right. And I tried it, and it made me get on the wrong on-ramp. And based off of my location, for me to get to downtown, I have to actually drive south. And it made me get on the north. And I'm like, why? The moment I got on north, it redirected saying, oh, get off the next exit, make a U-turn. I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. I got rid of it, and honestly, I never downloaded the app again. I said I'm never going to do it again. And it was Brittany who talked me into using Waze, even though I knew what it was. I used it back when it was a develop or not develop, but it was like a beta in 2011 or 12 when it first came out. I downloaded it and I used it, and it had all the same features, just not as redefined. Okay. And then I just I mentioned it to her. She used it. She loved it. I was like, I'm going to stick with Apple Maps. But then after, the reason why I liked Google Maps when it was prevalent was that it told you at the time what lanes you needed to be in Apple Maps.
That was handy.
And I did like that. I wanted to preemptively know what lane I needed to be in. But then Waze did that. So then I got into Waze, and I was like, oh, Waze is awesome. So I'll punch up Waze. The thing here's why I use both of them, and it might seem counterintuitive, but it's not. I'll put my destination for Apple Maps and Waze, and then I will stay on Apple Maps because Waze will give you a banner notification for the next instructions, or it will tell you when there's an incident in the road, there's a cop pulled to the side. So you still get the features of what Waze is meant for while I'm in Apple Maps.
You sneaky user.
I cheat. Yeah. I think that's only I think it only works with CarPlay because I haven't tried it. I never not use CarPlay, so I don't know if it works outside of it. I have to ask Brittany, but I cheat. I use both because I do like the UI better in Apple Maps, and I like how clean it is, and it's gotten so much better over time, and I never personally had an issue either with Apple Maps.
See, Apple Maps is number 2. Waze is number 3. And Google Maps is number 4. We're all forgetting Tesla OS, which has the best.
I was going to mention that at some point. That uses Google Maps, so that doesn't count.
Well, it looks different.
It uses Google Maps.
Well, it doesn't give me.
Yes, it did. So. It told us. it told us we were going to be there at a certain time. And then
did you guys have a nice drive back down?
No.
Even though you were in the Tesla.
So bad.
Yeah, the Tesla was nice, but getting back to the return lot, it was a mess. We had to go over this bridge that was just a parking lot, and we were like gonna miss Randy's flight, and I don't know.
Ooh, yikes.
That's a story for a different day.
stressful.
No need to bring up those bad memories. but-
Okay. We'll keep it off the record.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right.
The Tesla itself is great, but that's the only thing that
Yep.
was great about it.
Like, you'll be there in this many hours. Because it keeps
Did
counting
you
up.
guys hear about 5G not being on the 2020 iPhone?
Oh, how dare they? Oh, I
Yeah.
need 5G. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I could not care less.
I know they're gonna start rolling out sometime this year, as Verizon has already started. T-Mobile said they were gonna start once. Honestly, T-Mobile, I follow them closely because they're my provider, my carrier, and I have investments with them as well. And they're waiting for this acquisition with Sprint.
You
to
own the
finish
company,
up
is what you're
for them
telling
to
me.
start rolling out.
You own the company.
Huh?
That's what you're saying.
I own it.
Ooh.
Secretly.
I definitely have. I have a healthy amount of money in the company.
I
So,
see.
from an investment point of view, because I'm betting on them to buy Sprint.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm waiting for that to get cleared, and once that clears, just based off of projections that I've seen, it's anyway. That's money talk. But they are waiting to roll out their 5G once they can do the acquisition with Sprint, because then they can get their towers, and then they have enough of the bandwidth of all spectrums to start rolling it out slowly but more efficiently than not AT&T but Verizon. So
Yeah, AT&T's already
they're not promoting
5GE already and rolled out, so they're set.
Well, it's almost like
that
yeah,
is-
it's almost like AT&T, definitely has 5G already, and I'm pretty sure that no one's seeing any different speeds.
yeah, that's it's all dumb. I think the biggest mistake they're doing is they're promoting it to be like, oh, come to our carrier, we have 5G. Excuse me.
Hiccups, Randy, come on.
They're banking
I
on
got it.
people not
I got
knowing,
hiccups. Yeah.
which sadly
Yeah.
they're probably right.
Yeah.
It's going to work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've already seen people on my Twitter ask me like, so I know Verizon's working on 5G, but I have AT&T and I'm already seeing 5GE on my phone. And I was like, oh, it's working.
No.
They knew it would work too. It's just confusing everyone. Now when 5G officially rolls out, AT&T users are going to be like, so, like,
We've
yeah,
had
we've
it
had
for
that.
years.
And then they're like,
Oh,
oh,
you
wow, my
idiots.
speeds are faster. Wow.
Right.
So one thing that you mentioned in your video with it, Drew, that I agree with. I don't see as of like a today more so than anything else. I don't see it as prevalent of a feature to need unless we can use it with Wi-Fi, because there's no way that the amount of data it just can consume. Oh, you get gigabit, even though like that's marketing numbers, which means you're
Yeah,
never really
It's
gonna
not
get
going to be
it.
gigabit. There's
Right.
already people
Like,
testing it.
The battery lasts up to 9 hours. Well, yeah, on paper maybe one time in prime condition, but it'll
Playing
never
at
be 9
1%
hours.
volume.
So
Yeah. And the phone is
Yeah.
like an inch away from it.
so
yeah.
there's no benefit unless you can jump it off of Wi-Fi. But even then, because the or the internet providers are trying to compete with it with itself with having the gigabit download speeds as well to keep up and compete, because I remember the phone carriers were saying like our data will be so strong you won't need an internet like a Cox or a Time Warner or any of that spectrum. You won't need
BS.
any of that.
I call BS on that.
I think this whole thing with internet, because we're going through a growth spurt like we did many years ago for LTE. I think it's just a bunch of noise right now, and it's not going to be pretty relevant or hold any merit until a couple of years afterwards anyway. And I don't like talking about the iPhone and having their 5G iPhone pushed out
Right.
another year. I mean, it doesn't matter. Everything there was such a big transition from 3G to 4G and 4G LTE that we're functioning just fine. Everything how it is right now is in the mobile world.
It's a coverage issue and it's a data throttling issue.
Absolutely.
Those are the biggest problems.
Yeah.
So when they bring up the speed thing,
I'm not jumping out of my
like,
seat. Yeah, I'm not trying to get AR VR going.
Yeah.
Well, so this is my biggest question about the 5G. When it's fully implemented, 2025, 2030, however many years it's going to take, right?
In 2092, when 5G is everywhere.
Exactly, 2092, when 5G is everywhere.
Okay.
You know how LTE, sometimes you're driving down the freeway and you'll like lose sight of one of the cell towers and it'll take a while to switch over to the next one because you're driving down the freeway so fast.
Right.
With 5G, these little towers basically need to have direct line of sight with you. So I'm wondering, like,
almost.
Almost. Either you can reflect it off mirrors and glass and stuff. They have patents out for
regardless, they're shortwave. They're very shortwave.
Absolutely. It's not as long reaching as LTE is. My question is, if I'm sitting on a couch at home holding my phone, and if I turn the other way, is that going to have the same effect as it would if I was driving down the freeway with LTE? Like, it'll kick off and then have to kick back on the network? Like, I don't
think so.
I don't understand how that works.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, what a lot of people don't understand when they just see a number get higher, they assume like they've invented something brand new that's never been done before. Where it's like, this isn't necessarily brand new technology, kind of like how Apple is towards a lot of different tech. They just put a different spin on it. 5G is the idea of having a bunch of smaller towers that are tiny and strapped to things, and the signal is much stronger because the wavelengths don't go as far.
Yeah.
Which means that instead of having one tower that covers, a whole, 10 square mile area, you have to have 5 little boxes for like one block, to get accurate coverage, which, like I said in my video, I'm no internet installation expert, but something tells me that's not easily implemented.
Yeah.
If you have to put up one of those things, I get it. Like, it's probably easier to install one 5G box compared to an entire cell tower. However, there's so many little boxes you have to put, and I imagine that being a real holdup on things like the freeway, which is when you watch any video that talks about 5G and how important 5G is, my big holdup is like, that they always bring up the autonomous cars. They're going to use 5G to communicate with each other because the latency is so low, and they can all communicate in real time. But in my opinion, like, that means you have to put one of those 5G boxes across like the entire freeway instead of just one tower to cover a huge portion of the freeway. Like, this is technology that is in our future. I agree. It's going to be what we all switch to, but this is going to take quite easily a decade before it's accessible by everyone and we can actually start utilizing it. So if people getting worried or butthurt that or salty that the next iPhone or the 2020 iPhone won't have it is like, calm down, relax, you'll be fine. It's not going to be accessible to anyone outside of major cities for years and years and years. So
yeah,
I just saw it as complete overreaction.
Yeah, I'm so, like, we have these fiber networks all over the place, right? And that's the only way we can get right now those 1 gig, 2 gig speeds or whatever, the speeds that 5G is promising. My question is, do they have to have a fiber cable to each one of those little boxes? Or, like, that's not, I mean, I'm sure they could, like, mesh network, like, have you talk to one next to you and it beams it to the one over there, to the one over there, to the one in the cable box. But that just seems like a lot of extra work, and I don't know if it's worth it for them to bury fiber cables everywhere, to every street post and lamp in America. That just seems wasteful, and I don't know. I'm really confused.
Browse Twitter.
Yeah, I'm just really confused in general.
It also causes cancer. There's that.
It does cause cancer. People's heads just explode while they're walking by the 5G things.
we're back in the 80s now when, you just put out and put
Yeah,
it on your
yeah.
head and hello, Beth, Bethany, and then you get radiation to
So I watched this pretty interesting video. I think it was like CNBC or like some actual news publication did a YouTube video about 5G, and it was interesting because I didn't actually know this. 5G does use microwaves, but it's at the other end of the microwave spectrum. Like it does it at like 70 hertz or something, and like the microwave in your kitchen does like 240 hertz. So like
right. Well, also many Wi-Fi routers do this already.
Yeah,
so it's
and so like sure
done.
it's quote unquote microwaves, but it's not the same as sticking your head in your microwave. I'm sure that's not good.
I love how people just
Right.
assumed that the government would allow companies to install those. Oh yeah, you want to put microwaves up in the telephone, up in the phone wires and up in the street lights? Yeah, go ahead. It could just hurt everyone. Who cares?
Yeah, well, there should be a healthy amount of skepticism for those out there who do believe 5G causes cancer. Like, sure, it's not a proven technology yet. Of course, I'm all for investing more in research and figuring out maybe it does. And if it does cause cancer, well, I don't want it on every street post in America. That would be bad. So
and neither do the phone carrier companies that install them. So
true.
They're people too, guys. They're not, a lot of people assume
they're going to be immune to it.
Yeah, Verizon agents are these aliens that come down from outer space.
That's why you can never
Lizard
get a hold of them. V.
That's it.
They're on the phone with you in
Yeah.
customer service. They're trying to figure out English.
Yes, that's
So
why
that they can-
it's so hard to communicate with them. Oh, I should use
Right.
pictographs instead. Okay, this makes more sense now.
It explains everything. But yeah,
Take me to
Qualcomm.
your leader. No, the one that can help me,
Right.
please. Thank you.
right. You're reaching a tier 2 leader now.
Ooh.
Qualcomm issued a statement that said they were still willing to build modems for Apple.
Apple does.
But I don't think Apple wants that.
No.
I think they're going to back out and say, no thanks. We're going to make our own modems.
Yeah, I think they. It's no secret that they wanted to be completely independent from all third party parts, accessories, chips, screens. I mean, they would like to do it all
Right.
themselves. That way, it's just better quality control and
Less trade disputes.
That is true. Less lawsuits.
less trade disputes, less everything. Less everything. They're gonna get there. I was thinking about how they want to be their own, like, not ecosystem, but they want to be their own, a world inside a
Supply
world.
chain.
And well, bigger than that. I'm talking
really?
even bigger picture than that. Like
That's pretty big, Randy.
They want yes. They want to be their own almost like their own Google
Mhm.
in a sense where they nailed hardware down a long time ago, and they're always gonna like be known for great
Mhm.
hardware. But now with services, now with moving into trying to be accessories independent in a sense, and then we'll eventually see what's their project called for the car?
Titan?
Project
Yeah, Titan. Yeah.
Titan, which I think I'm sure that's not dead. I think these guys overall, like Apple, wants to be a completely sustainable company that can either own responsibility for it all, definitely own all the profits that come with it, but they want to be completely self-sustainable in from top bottom,
Right.
left right, from services to hardware to customer experience to our lives and breaking it out.
Their own
And,
world, like you said.
They want
yeah. Their own world.
Apple Pay Cash and Apple Card. Those are just the next steps.
That's what made me start thinking about it. It's like they're breaking into all
Mhm.
that stuff, and then we'll actually get like a literal Apple home in a sense, where like because I think of all this stuff. Like I got my studio lights set
Mhm.
up, and if I just switched out the light bulbs and make them more, tech friendly instead of just switches and stuff like that. All that's done on your home kit, right? And so like they're so integrated into our lives as a whole that I can only imagine the irritation that they get sometimes when someone like a Qualcomm steps in and starts to like not infringe but just ruin their feng shui and start
Sales
like,
ban.
oh, this is and so it's causing setbacks. And Apple is I think it's the most powerful company in the world, and they don't have the ability to just make Qualcomm disappear, and even more so maybe now because everybody still needs them. But I can see them pushing more so than anything that they would do anything they can to just break free from anything that would hold them back from, like, if we want to try this, let's try it, let's push it forward, let's just go with it. And nobody can step in and be like, oh, infringing on this or ruining that or not trade disputes but financial disputes on this and blah blah blah. Because I was thinking, I saw a video, I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and Steve Jobs started coming up on some stuff, and they were talking about the relationship. Oh my goodness, I think it was the Apple Explained that started.
Oh yeah.
Because then when he was talking about, I was like, if Steve Jobs was around, I was like, I will I'll spend every last dollar to right this wrong. And he did, like, he was so focused. And I think they, even though they don't have the that push of SJ himself doing it, I think they still have the capabilities to, like, I will, if I get it, like, if somebody did something that ruined my creative work or affected my life, I would do whatever I could to right that wrong, in a sense. But it was almost vindictive. So if Apple's proud enough that if they wanted to wreck some companies, I think they could, like very important companies, they could, which is why they have a working relationship with Samsung to this day, because they need each other, But I wouldn't be surprised if we get an everything Apple. Ooh. No, I'm not saying that. If we get all Apple screens, chips, hardware, software, services, and carrier. I mean, they're already in the money market now.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you.
Now
about
we got
that,
Apple should do a 5G network.
What? What's it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do see what you're saying, though, to segue first. Like, I could tell that Apple might, in their future, how Johnny Ive's vision is just have, like, one slab of glass and there's no bezels, and that's your phone experience. I bet Tim Cook's vision is one subscription service where you get everything as soon as it comes out.
All the money you make at your job. That's how much it costs.
Yeah. Apple's priority in your life becomes, like, as important as your rent, as your food. So they consider themselves as valuable as those expenses. So for a lot of people, they'll spend $300 a month on food or $600 or more a month on rent or whatever. Like, Apple will see
Apple's the government.
Apple will see themselves as that important, and one day we'll have, like, one subscription service that you pay something insane like $400 or $500 a month, and you get the latest iPhone, you get the latest iPad, the latest Apple Watch, all the services, all the iCloud storage, the latest AirPods, the latest whatever. Your monthly bill will go up a little bit if you ask for, like, an iMac Pro or something, but
where do I sign
everything to a monthly? I was gonna say Nick would probably do this, but I can see that being like their end goal one day. That's probably what they're working towards. But yeah, I was
one slab of glass and one subscription.
It's just called Apple. That's it.
Apple.
Introducing
for Apple.
Just Apple.
It starts at $350 a month on a 3-year contract. You can't break out of it.
And if you want to go up a couple tiers, depending on what else you want to get, just boom. If you want organic food, boom, organic Apple food.
Right. No, I could see where that may go one day, but it's a ways away. But we were talking about all the services Apple's getting themselves into, which I think everyone agrees is smart. That's probably a safe way to do it and make more passive income and money. They don't have to worry so much about hardware sales. I think kind of what they did with the Apple Card would be an excellent idea for their mobile data. You know, kind of like having a backbone that goes through everything. Like Apple didn't become a bank, you know, they're still backed through Goldman. But as you mentioned, Nick, like you don't make a bank account with Goldman to use the Apple Card. It's like the backbone. I want Apple to do something similar with internet companies. Like it's all powered via Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, whoever. But you don't have to have an account with any of them. It's all handled. Apple pays them for their internet access, and then you, the end user, just have to have an Apple account. And Apple and their user-friendliness and their optimization just build it into the phone. You don't have to worry about SIM cards. You don't have to worry about having your Verizon account activated to switch your phone number over to this phone. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just focus on your Apple ID, and then via iCloud, you get to choose your data plan. And Apple, similar to the Apple Card, will make it super easy to understand, super minimal, super basic. And it's all handled through the backbones of the other carriers. So I'm not saying those carriers die.
It depends. So most of the time, which is interesting. Wait a minute. I think I can get behind that, and I'll tell you why. Because most of those people who do that, they go off of the Sprint network.
It's called an MVNO.
90% of them.
Mobile network virtual. Mobile virtual network operator.
Yes, and they all go off of Sprint. Most of them go off of Sprint. I don't think I personally found anyone who doesn't use Sprint.
There are a few, but yeah.
But if T-Mobile buys them, then they go off of the T-Mobile network. And me being a customer of theirs for 2 years now, I don't have issues. They're not as strong as Verizon. Objectively, they're not. But 90% of my concerns are fixed, or not fixed, but they are not an issue. So I get a little bad signal here and there, but all things considering, I'm saving money at the end of the day, and that's the compromise I was willing to make. If Sprint gets absorbed by T-Mobile, they would. I don't see why they wouldn't continue that practice and allow other people to come in and now use the T-Mobile network, which has also objectively gotten very good and better every year. They're getting there. So I would like, because I don't think Verizon or AT&T would strike that deal with Apple. I could see them making a case and Apple saying like, listen, we're brand, like let us use your network. But I can see these guys, all of them be like, well, we want this amount of the negotiations could be a bit intense.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's a reason why Apple went with Goldman Sachs instead of like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase.
Goldman was the only one that didn't want to put their hands in there and mess stuff up.
Right. And everybody else, like they have, like, you're not going to come into my industry that we have a century's worth of work on and have you start, ruining our business model in a sense. That is my working theory, but I got no way to back that up. I just feel like that makes sense. So I think same way, I don't think Verizon or AT&T would do it, but even any of them would do it. I think that is a very genius idea, Drew, and I would actually really like to see that, because you get to, like, how you close your eyes in a sense, and that's how it's reversed for that. And then you can also build your plan with almost like that click wheel. Well, not click wheel, but you kind of how you want to build out that plan.
I mean, there's whole. And what if we were just watching Portlandia skits about all the different phone plans there are and how ridiculous it's been made by all of them. All the carriers really make things very complicated between you have the unlimited plan, you have the unlimited plan plus, and then you have the all unlimited plan pro, and that allows you and that gives you 10 gigs. If you want no limit, we have the truly unlimited plan, and it just gets more complicated. Like I'd love for Apple to get into that field, because I know they're pushing services right now, and I'm just saying, like, that's one they're not in that I think they should get in, because it's directly related to their user experience, for one. iPhones still being like their primary source of income. So easing that experience, easing that upgrade program, easing that data usage program will encourage people and make it easier to switch your phone, because that's like one of the big hassles there is with people upgrading their phones is they got to go to the carrier, they got to call Verizon, they got to get their phone activated. Apple trying to remove all that, I think, would encourage people to upgrade more often, and they wouldn't be so hesitant to. And not to mention, it'll make switching away from iOS even more difficult.
Yeah. So
I'll go one further with you on that. I would my primary bank, my mobile bank, Simple, does that, and they're just like that as well. If Apple went full on bank like that too, an online bank only, or you know what, they wouldn't even need a debt because they have retail stores that could be doubled as bank, but security would be a thing. I know that for sure. But anyway, if they made little Apple villages and just take out a couple stores at the mall,
Apple villages.
have a place where you can live up top.
They could move into all the
just a
Tesla
little
stores
Apple-
that are closing.
There you go. Perfect.
they're
Problem solved.
guys. Oh, we're building out this world I was just telling you about this little. They can make this
Apple
happen.
Empire.
Because I would do it. I would do. This is how they get my money, and I would do it.
That's funny.
We have to send this. We have to send this podcast to Tim Cook or one of the senior.
We know they're
VPs up
listening.
there. Be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Mark has listened, so you know. Yeah,
Well, I know they're listening because I got reports and rumors earlier this week that said there's leaked code that within macOS they're going to break up iTunes to make a music.
I
and podcast
remember
app.
that.
And we just talked about it.
Oh,
So I know they're listening.
Yeah,
Oh my
They're
gosh.
paying
Yeah.
attention.
So
and you're right, Nick. Marquez is
Marquez.
also listening. And what else do we say? Oh, and AirPower's dead. Who called it?
hey.
You know, I saw people on Monday. Oh, it's not.
Call it.
Right. What were you going to say, Nick, about the carrier
Yeah.
thing?
Well, yeah, so this is the only thing I would add to this whole discussion. I think it would be interesting, you know, obviously the contracts and getting it all lined up with the different cell networks would be difficult.
Right.
But Apple owns the hardware, which means they could do some unique hardware things that allow you to switch between CDMA and GSM networks simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what if they made a deal with Verizon and Sprint and T-Mobile and AT&T that you could use all of the cell towers at any time for whatever Apple's price is? Then that way,
Whichever
if
one
you're
has
in
the
a
best
area that has
service.
bad Verizon service, your phone would immediately switch to AT&T, which has good service, or T-Mobile,
Right.
or vice versa. I think that would be really interesting. I would love to see that.
It'd be, like you said, it would be very difficult to get them all on board. But
Yeah.
it
Very
would
much.
kind of be similar, I think, to the Apple News Plus subscription service. They had to like
Over
contact all those
300.
We don't have that much time on our hands, okay? Yeah, but they were able to contact and find agreements to those, 300 different magazine subscriptions that, like they said, individually would cost all that money. What it means is Apple's profit margin is like a fraction of a percent. Apple's betting on making money with the masses, right? This is like a long-term game. They're hoping on making money by keeping you within iOS, not by making money off of the service itself. So obviously, if you wanted to use Apple's mobile plan, it would probably cost something. It would have to cost something extra on top of all that. But all of that money you'd be paying for would likely just be going directly to all those other carriers anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it would save us the hassle of having to deal with it. Plus, Apple could finally write out the Verizon writing in all of the iOS code. You have to have it in the corner all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What carrier you're on. They could finally
just have an Apple
ditch
logo
that.
up there.
Yeah. Or just the time, just put something else there.
No minimalism. Come on.
Yeah.
You have
They
the
would
time
more-
on both sides. Ooh.
Yeah. They would rather have nothing there, I think. They would rather nothing be there.
You'd have your signal bar. You'd have your Wi-Fi strength. Yeah, I'd put the time. Keep the time because that's where the time rests anyway when it's in the up in the ear.
Mhm.
So, pulling it down, just get rid of get rid of the carrier, put the time. You could still have your battery indicator to the right, and you know what's crazy, guys? I actually got really for about almost a year, if not a little over a year. I was not sold on the ears.
Really?
About all that notification being up there. Yeah. Well, let me tell you why. I wished they put the battery indicator on the battery itself. Just so that way I can see it as well. I felt like it was just a little bit cluttered. Like I don't need my on the left ear. When you look at the left ear, you have time, and then I have my my location that's only outlined right now. And I know that that's sometimes there and that's sometimes not. And then on the right, you got your signal strength, Wi-Fi, or you'd maybe be on LTE if you're not on Wi-Fi. And then you got your battery. And then pulling it down, all that kind of just got moved around. I wasn't sold on it. I was like, I want it consistent. I want it, the same. So I was looking. I was like, why couldn't you just on the right ear just put the battery percentage there and get rid of and I know why maybe whatever their laws are or whatever, you have to have the carrier there, but I just keep it how it is down but pushed up and give us the time, like move. I wanted to be able to move it around a little bit more, or I wanted something that was more consistent. But now when I look at it, I'm like, I'm just being picky.
I still wish they could have done the the Apple Watch battery complication. That's just a circle. Why couldn't they have put that at the top?
Amazing.
Please.
So yeah. No, I think they could have done the notch implementation better, but
yeah, but I'm just being picky. And another thing is I don't mind anymore about swiping from the top right down to get to notification instead of swiping up. And I think it's just because I'm used to it, and so that's why I don't mind. But I just like watching how the interface causes it to like just fade in. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Sure.
And I would have liked to see it up, swiping from the bottom up. But I think I've just retrained my hand on how I hold the phone, where it actually sits like this, where my thumb is always kind of at the ready. That's how I hold my phone. It's always at the ready. So my hand looks like an Apple commercial hand.
Mine does not.
Now that I'm noticing, it's like, yours is. Because I'm used to holding it at the bait before. I used to hold it like this, but now I just.
Is that because you've moved your app icons to the top, Randy? Because I've noticed, I don't know how many of you guys listening have seen my home screen, but I have a bunch of like blank series shortcuts that fill up the entire top.
This is my home screen.
Wow.
That photo we took. Of the little thing, I don't have any. I don't have any apps on the home screen. Never mind. So no.
Because like if you had the apps,
that's
up
a good
the top,
working theory, though.
Yeah, you'd want to shift your hand up to the top. But I've noticed since I'm using all the apps that are at the bottom of my screen, I just have 2 rows, the dock, and then 1 row above that. I'm never, and at least on the home screen, I'm never using the top part of my phone.
Sure. Well, that's understandable. I feel like.
Well, that's why I have reachability on too.
I feel like there's so much writing on iOS 13 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna be let down in something.
Absolutely.
We want the world. Everybody wants the world.
Can we move to another topic?
Yes.
Apple News Plus.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I have an update on this.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I know we had
used it at all.
Oh, I know we had literally discussed a week ago that I was going to get rid of it because I don't use it. Well, I showed my dad the feature, and since it all works with iCloud family sharing, he was really excited.
Yeah,
I really wish I could have shown you his face when he saw that Popular Mechanics was one of the magazines. He was like, I haven't seen this magazine in years.
It's been so long. I think it is for a much older demographic.
Yeah, definitely. But just the joy that brought him, I'm like, yeah, of course I'll keep it. Like, whatever. Like, if you're gonna
you're keeping it. You're paying.
Yeah,
$10.
Yeah, it's $10 a month, and if at some point he stops reading it, I'll get rid of it because I don't use it.
Can you pay for my Apple Music?
No, Randy, you're not in my family.
I mean,
it's an exclusive. Sorry, all six slots are full.
I don't mind being a teeny and
Teeny and
Sweeney.
Sweeney. There you go. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh
No,
my
I'm
gosh.
on that topic though. I'm trying to segue. On that topic though, I have talked to a lot of people that have said that Apple News thing is like huge, and they were like, "This is amazing." They're doing what they did for the music industry, for the magazine industry.
Yep.
And me as a youngin is just like, "What are you talking about? That is useless." It's like I get. It's not like you hear about things sooner or you hear about things that you wouldn't hear otherwise on the news subscription. That's my whole issue with it.
Yeah,
Like,
and the news is
for
always
my
going to be
news
there no
purposes,
matter what.
right. For my news purposes, it's just like what's going on, what's happening, you know, what's going on, what's the happens, and I can get that already. So
What's that?
but when it comes to the News Plus, it's just like, okay, it's what's going on, but with cooler design. So I I see that,
And
I'm
it's
like,
delayed.
Oh, God.
It's not instant.
Yeah.
You gotta wait
So
for
I'm
the
like,
issue magazine.
$10 for that? No way. I'm not paying that. But I talked to people like Viper who said they were super interested in that, and I thought it was amazing. And I've seen other people on Twitter and YouTube that have both expressed their interest in it, but it's just interesting that it's so like.
Well, Viper's a bit of the.
Ooh, calling them out.
As is Renee. No hate towards there. No hate towards there. You know, like, hey, if anything,
So many old.
catering towards the older demographics is probably a good idea because they likely have more money than the younger demographics.
That is true.
So
I think I'm not calling them old, Nick. I'm just saying they're older. They're older than us. They're not in their 20s.
Oh, okay, Randy. Well, not in our 20s. That's funny.
Viper, I don't even know if Viper's in his 30s.
Let's not play this game. We're gonna get We're gonna
Let's
get
play a game real
demonetized.
quick.
I have a question about the other services, though.
Yes.
Is there a cutoff price for either of you for Apple TV Plus? Where, like, if it's this much,
Yes.
I won't pay for it.
Well, that's contingent on what it is. I don't know what it is yet. It's really contingent, but I will say that the cutoff would be what I would pay if I was paying, which I'm not, but what I would be paying for Netflix without any ads and everything. Same thing as HBO or any of the. My cutoff is that, like, nobody gets special treat. Like, I'm not going to pay anybody $20 for exclusive content, especially when I'm not even sold on it. I only did that's why I'm not paying for Netflix, because I wouldn't pay for Netflix based off of exclusive content when the only thing I will pay for is YouTube.
Yeah.
Period,
Right.
because that's my TV, that's my news, that's my everything. I get to pick, instead of getting channels you don't care about. That's literally what our subscription thing, even though it's not a subscription, but you know what I mean. I get to pick what I want to see and how clean or organized or cluttered I want my my videos to be and all the things that I watch. So I pay I'd say 15 would be the cutoff for any
15.
of them
Okay.
individually. Now, if it was a bundle,
Yeah. Okay.
what we say, 35
For everything?
35 out of 50 for
Yep.
everything. That's what we said last week. I'd still stick to that. 35. I'll pay 35, and that's the exception, because I will do a bundle and at least give it a try. I will admit that I don't care about News Plus. I don't care about Apple Arcade, and I don't know if I like Apple TV Plus yet or not. And I'm not paying. Here's the problem, right? Here's the real. I was thinking about this and why I think my numbers are off, and why I don't think it's 35. You're not paying for the Apple Card,
Right.
and that's one of them. You're not. I know. I know we talked about, like, oh, what about paying for the card? Even let's say I will humor you for a second, Drew, and say that maybe the card comes extra. The initial service to have an account open is free. So that's not something I would not pay. I take that completely back. I would not pay $35 out of a $50 plan, because if you're doing $10 each per thing that they introduce, you're not paying for Apple Card. Even if the metal part, let's say titanium, would cost extra, the service itself you're not paying for. So I will not pay $35. I would drop it down $10 to $25. $25 for all of them, just because I'm really not that interested in News Plus, Apple Arcade, and I'm not sure if I'm going to like Apple
Okay.
TV Plus. If Apple TV Plus does that thing where they reach out with independent creators, i.e. us,
Which we know
I'm
that's
on-
not
I'm on,
happening
like,
because Randy is in fact not
No, but
Steve Carell and Nick is not The Rock.
I am actually The Rock. You haven't seen me in person.
do you smell what Aunt Sweeney is
Isn't it
cooking?
kind of funny that The Rock wasn't involved with TV Plus, even though he did that whole Siri commercial a couple
Yeah.
years ago?
Well, he's too busy going on Matt's podcast. That's really what the deal is. Yeah, I think that they had too many stars there. Like, honestly, I think Steve Jobs, as much as we compare Tim Cook to Steve Jobs, and I know it's not healthy, Steve Jobs would have been like, what are the 3 biggest stars that we could get?
Yeah.
Steve would never.
I honestly feel like
He's
Steve,
rolling in his grave.
if Steve Jobs was still alive, Tim Cook would still be in charge of all these services.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
he would probably be like Johnny Ive and
But-
have nothing to do with all these subscriptions. He'd just be like, okay, you do your thing. Go
but
ahead.
just the minimalism
I'm gonna be over
aspect
here.
of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they had every single star and their cousin on the stage, and in the crowd.
Well, that's because they're hyping something. It was time. It was just filling time. It's no different than when they. And here's our musical
Mhm.
performance. I think they're just killing time. They do. Here's what we're working on,
Mhm.
and we'll have more later on this year. Here's the iMac, or here's the iMac Pro. We're
Here's the
working on.
Air Power we're
Here's the
working
Mac Pro
on,
we're working
and
on.
we'll have that done next year
Yeah.
or the year after that, or
I-
never. One of those.
Yeah.
Big rip.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Big rip.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still convinced TV Plus is gonna flop. And
Yep. I'm not paying for it.
Apple Arcade, I'm very maybe about. I'm not decided on that. I'm like that could be big, and it could also flop. I could kind of see it going either way.
Like, we want it to be big, but it's
Eh.
like the mobile games. I get what they're doing, and I appreciate it's not ready today.
Mhm.
That's where
Right.
I'm at. Like, in a couple more years, maybe we can start having those conversations again, revisiting. But it's just these mobile games. They're not where I would want them to be for my type of game playing. Not yet. I don't want light versions of these AAA games. For a mobile version, I want to play these intensive graphic games or not graphic, but graphical games. Like, I
Mhm.
want something that is, PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox One X. I want the PC Master Race. I want all of that. That's what I feel we are. At the end of the day, it's just spoiled too, and there's nothing wrong with that. And iOS games are more aligned with Nintendo Switch, and there's
Right.
nothing wrong with Nintendo.
I
Switch.
think I think that
It's not for me.
the biggest games, as we've talked about, the games that made the most money last year were free. And that's a
Yeah.
really good point to bring up to Apple. So I think what kind of Apple Arcade needs is a very long trial period, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I'm
Very
thinking
long.
like Apple Music long. I'm talking like 3 months where they let you play all those games in Apple Arcade, and you get used to playing them, and you're accustomed to playing them,
Yeah.
and they need to rely on that because iOS is no exception. The biggest games on there are all free ones with in-app purchases. And
Yeah.
Polymatter has done great videos on how the freemium model works because you get people playing the game and you get accustomed to it, you get used to it, and then you start to justify the in-app purchases because then you're not spending money, you're buying coins, you're buying gems, and you understand and you think it's worth it because you play this game so much. You're like, I get so much entertainment value out of this.
Right.
Sure, I'll throw $3 at some gems so I can move past this level or something.
Mhm.
So, given there's no in-app purchases on Apple Arcade, there's no ads or anything like that, they really need like a good 3-month trial period so that people can start playing the games, get used to them, enjoy them, and then feel like, oh wait, I'm getting plenty of entertainment out of this. So once the $10 or whatever dollar fee comes around, hopefully it's $10, and not like 18 or something. That I think would scare people away. $18 a month, too much. If it was a sweet $9.99, I think after 3 months of people playing those games, they could be like, okay, yeah, I play these a lot. I'm gonna keep paying for it. But if it's just like a 1 month free trial, I don't know. That probably wouldn't be too good.
Yeah, but I kind of look at it like this. I don't have any free time in my life to play games or watch movies. Or
you have work.
You read magazines.
Nick, everybody goes to the bathroom.
Okay, fine. But I'm replying to
There's your
emails.
time.
You all better look out when I'm replying to your emails. But yeah, I don't see myself ever using, like I have Netflix, but I don't get my value out of Netflix. It's there because the off chance I'm like, have a free 2 hours, like literally like once every other week or something. I'll pull up and watch a few episodes of Parks and Rec or The Office or something. And
sure.
I don't subscribe to that because Steven Spielberg directed a movie on there, or because these independent app creators made these really cool games. I subscribe to it because it's already content I enjoy.
Sure.
And I'm not going to waste my 2 hours of free time on some game that I don't know if I like yet, and I'm not going to waste it on some TV show I'm not sure if I like yet. I'm going to waste my time on things that I already know I enjoy.
So quite literally, like, if Apple TV Plus, if the shows aren't very good, I don't think anyone will keep paying for it.
But it has Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston, so
Oh, of course.
That's how you know it's good.
Exactly. That's all they needed.
Yep.
Anywho, is there any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Air Power's dead.
Marquez, come on the show.
Let's get all the routine out things. Oh, we almost forgot. I hate the Pixel. Pixel sucks.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about the Pixel
there,
today.
I covered it. We checked all our boxes.
Good.
Anyway,
good job,
thank you
team.
guys.
This is synergy.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.